Welcome back. We are talking again this week about the in-between season, the time in life when you are still parenting. I still have 2 kids at home year round, one who comes home during school breaks and one who is completely on her own, and also caring for aging parents. And I have a mom who's very independent. She lives alone still, and also, my husband's parents now require 24-hour care, and I've been very involved in helping to facilitate and manage that. So, this is a unique time in life, and it offers, we talked about last week, hard things and opportunity. So, last week we focused more on what it means to be parenting young adults. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about what it means to be caring for our aging parents and how we step into new roles with them during this phase of life. And, you know, I really was struck as we were thinking about what we wanted to say that there are a lot of similarities in how we handle both of these groups as far as they are adults, maybe on different ends of the life journey, who may have different levels of independence and ability to make decisions for themselves and need us in different ways. I also mentioned last week that I really like to be needed. That really feels good to me. And so as my kids are needing me less, I can maybe look for other people who need me. And I just need to check myself and make sure that I am not doing that in an unhealthy way, that we are not trying to get our own needs met, but more that we are not trying to take the role of savior, of swooping in to save the moment, either with our kids or with our parents, that we need to leave enough space for Jesus to be their savior, both from a practical standpoint, practically sometimes you come in, but I think from a heart posture that we can start to take this sense of responsibility that really is bigger than us. We are still just people, and we fill people-size roles. We don't fill God-size roles. But in our own minds, we sometimes do. So,
So interesting. I just listened to this podcast. It was Andy Stanley interviewing Steve Cuss, who I know you
oh yeah.
love.
Yes, I do.
And he has a new book out on anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things he talked about in that podcast episode was how needing to be needed
Mm-hmm.
is a form of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
That was a new idea for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can see how that would be true because it is control, right? It gets back to control. I want to control my environment, and you don't need me anymore. I can't control you, and you need me. So, and I will say, as we start transitioning into talking about aging parents, it is often a gradual process of how much they need us. Now, something catastrophic can happen, and you can have to step in. You have to step in a dramatic way. But often it's this gradual on-ramp. Talk to me, Krista, about how that has felt for you to be thinking about as you look ahead, as you consider the next few years, and how you may need to care for them in a different way. They may have bigger needs than they do today. How are you thinking about that? How are you approaching that just in your own mind?
Well, it's interesting because I would also say in our household, we have two extremes.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents are still, they're in their 80s, but they are very high functioning. Very. They are doing a lot of life the way they've always done it.
They go to Machu Picchu.
Yes. They travel the world, which, we're having conversations about that, but they take college classes. They're just very high functioning. And then Eric's parents are struggling a lot more. And he has, for now several years, he has completely taken over their entire life. They are in a place where they are not able to function at all like they used to, like at all. And so we do have extremes going on. And it's interesting because I think in both of our cases, the word that keeps coming up between the two of us is honor. How do we honor our parents in the place that they are, in the season that they're in? And how do we talked about this last week too, but how do we leave a mark of love in both places? And I think as I look forward into what may be over the next few years, and there will be things that come because we know this, we're all moving toward the finish line. My parents literally in their retirement center have, I swear it's like once a week. Well, so-and-so passed away this week. I mean, it is like dark humor where it's like you're living in this college dorm where everyone's dying. It's like the strangest dynamic because it's so beautiful. There's all this community. It's like a college dorm in a lot of ways because there's activities and there's fun and there's, they're playing pickleball and they're book clubbing and playing mahjong. That's the big thing. And having all these things. But then like all of a sudden there's the empty chair because so-and-so passed away this week. And then so-and-so passed away 2 weeks ago. And it is so strange as I'm witnessing and bearing witness to my parents' stage of life. I'm like, this must be so hard for you guys. Right. So there's a lot of anticipation of loss.
Yeah.
Both for them, but also for me. And for me, it's devastating loss. There's anticipation of devastating loss because I have been so close to my parents. And so I don't know that I answered any questions in that other than to say that's what's happening in our world as we're looking at this idea of aging parents.
Yeah, I think it's good to have a little bit of a state of the union. This is the context that we are speaking from. And think about the emotions in this. We asked last week, what does it really feel like? Grief is what comes back again. And because some of it is that anticipatory grief of we are watching people's lives end. We are watching them. And then that starts to hit on some core questions for us too. Like, oh, wow, I'm watching my parents get sick and die. What does that mean for my own mortality? It just feels a little more real. Grief that we have lost part of who they are. I mean, that is the reality as people's cognitive abilities decline. We're losing part of their personality and part of their memories and part of what makes them who they are. And physically, if they used to be active people and they can't do the things they used to be able to do, there's just a lot of grief there. But one thing that has surprised me as I've been talking to people about how they're dealing with their parents aging and dying, I mean, a number of my friends here in Denver's parents have already died, is that old wounds are amplified. If things don't get healed, those wounds, it's like that bruise gets sore again all of a sudden. And it is interesting to hear, and it is very motivating to deal with whatever it is you need to deal with before someone dies. But I think in the chaos of trying to care for a parent, if there are some wounds that are there, they can get in the way of some of just the practical because you're holding that tension that we talked about last week of like, I'm not necessarily feeling loving, but I know that I am the person to do this for my parents because they don't have anybody else. So that's been an interesting observation too, is to think about what is the work that needs to be done because once they're gone, I mean, I felt that with my own dad. Once he was gone, I thought, well, with him died the opportunity to deal with some things together. Now I just need to deal with them on my own.
And it is hard. I know people who are trying to reconcile some things with a parent who's gone in
Mm-hmm.
their own heart and mind. And, they've even used chat to help with that,
Mm-hmm.
which has been fascinating. Like, it's a
Mm-hmm.
fascinating use. Now, granted, these are people who are very self-aware and have therapy
Mm-hmm.
backgrounds. And so they're able to do it. But it's actually been quite effective, which has surprised me. I've
Mm-hmm.
been very surprised by that. But watching them journey through that, trying to make peace when the person is
Mm-hmm.
no longer there, it is hard,
Mm-hmm.
very hard.
Yeah.
I will also say, kind of that anticipatory grief, I will say the opportunity there, as we're looking at both ends of the
Mm-hmm.
coin, is I am not taking any time for granted
Mm-hmm.
with my parents. And I am so aware of what a gift time with them is. When you know you are on the clock
Mm-hmm.
with your parents and you have a good relationship with them,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it so sweet because you really do treasure the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get teary half the time. I'm trying not to let them see, but look, when I leave, I'll sometimes get teary because I'm so grateful that they're still here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that is a good way to live with
Mm-hmm.
gratitude. Yeah. No, for sure. I check myself a lot. Like, is this an opportunity that a grandparent could be involved in? Whatever
Great
it is,
question.
a meal, an event, a
Mm-hmm.
basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
And for Derek's parents, those opportunities are much smaller because it's much more involved to get them out of the house now.
Right.
So we've even passed some of the opportunities are gone.
What a great question, though. That is a
Mm-hmm.
really great question. It's a way to make room because you're already
Yeah.
doing that thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
what is the opportunity to invite them in to
Yeah.
something you're already doing?
I read something, I don't know, about a month ago, a woman who was talking about what she wished her daughter knew. And it sounded like her daughter was probably around my age, just the age of the grandkids and the busy life. And that the daughter was a little bit like, well, I invited you to dinner. I had this checklist of things I was supposed to include you in, and I did it. So what's wrong? Why are you not feeling like that's enough, to her mom, essentially?
Hmm.
And the mom's response was, I want a place to belong. I don't want just to be invited because I should be invited.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I've really thought through that. Like, how do I create a place of belonging for my mom where it doesn't feel like, oh, she's just inviting me because she feels obligated, but that she's contributing. That was part of the message, that I'm not just a visitor in your life. I am
Hmm.
actually part of your life.
Mm. So good. It's not just check the box. I mean, you already said it, but it's how do they feel when
Mm-hmm.
they're around you? It's so
Yeah.
good. That's very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's talk about, and I think you're a really good person for us to ask this question to. What does stepping into care look like
Mm-hmm.
practically?
Well, I mean, this is probably a unique answer for every person and every situation because it involves resources and personalities and needs. They're all going to be different. And
Mhm.
even they're going to be different for the same group of people next month and next year because things change. So, this idea of constantly evaluating, I think, is one approach to say, how do we offer dignity right now to everyone involved? And especially, you mentioned honor for our parents, but I think dignity too, especially when they start to lose the ability to have their body work the way it used to, or their mind work the way they used to. It gets embarrassing. And how do we provide this sense of it's okay? It's okay. It's just how your body is now. It's just how your mind is now. Because it is easy, and this gets back to expectations. It gets easy to get stuck in the expectation that they are who they used to be. And that's frustrating because they aren't. if they're changing.
That's good.
So when determining the level of care and what type of care, I think, how are we going to provide dignity? How involved can they be in the decision making? And this is really, I think, such a tricky place because we may think that they should not be as involved as they think they should be if we are suspecting some kind of cognitive issue, because people often don't realize their delays and their confusion. And so how do we again make the conversation honoring? It can feel, I just want to normalize, it can feel like you're hitting your head against the wall. If you are really trying to convince somebody to make some changes or get some help in a way that they don't feel there's a need for. I mean, it's frustrating for them, I'm sure, but it's also frustrating for us. So then it gets back to that baseline of, are they safe? And what do we need to make them safe? And what kind of care do they need? And are their needs being met, not just their physical safety needs, but their social, emotional, and spiritual needs?
Well, and that's where I think it's helpful sometimes to have. So I know not everyone's parents are in communities or in a retirement center or a care center of any kind. But I do think for those that do have parents there, sometimes that more objective person who's observing your parent can sometimes speak some truth and wisdom into that scenario that you may not be able to see because you're too up close, or maybe you've just gotten used to a certain behavior and they're seeing it from a different perspective, from more holistic of like, this is what we see in general. This is where this parent is. And it brings attention in a good way that then informs how you care for them going forward. So just that whole idea that you can invite people into that process with you, especially if they are being observed by other people who are caring for the elderly all day long, they can help you navigate decisions.
Yeah, for sure. Professionals can be helpful. And people in their life, other people, their own siblings, their friends. We've received great observations from friends that we know love them. So it's helpful. And then we have invited other people in to have conversations that sometimes have not been as well received if they come from us, like a pastor or someone from church that they really respect, to ask some questions of them and hear what their responses are. So, yeah, rely on the team for sure. Rely on the team.
Yes. I would also say what does stepping into care look like? One of the things that I think we often forget is like bring them joy, like make them laugh. Part of caring for people in their hard seasons is helping them to be able to withstand it, bear up under it. And let's like bring joy and laughter. You know, that is not to be undervalued. I think sometimes whenever we're in seasons of trial, and aging is a season of trial, humor, lightheartedness, it helps us bear up under it. And so I think just for us not to forget, like to look for ways to do that.
Yeah, that is such a good reminder, because that does get to the holistic care. Yeah.
Okay, well, what would you say are the possible joys of caring for aging parents?
Well, I think it's an opportunity to care for people who have cared for us. And whether they're our parents, or I know a number of people that have cared for an aunt or an uncle that didn't have children, and we are just the generation to care for the generation ahead of us, whatever that might look like. I have a good friend here in Denver. She cared for a woman 20 years older than her she was not related to. They were just connected through church, and she became her legal person. And just through church. It
Wow.
Yeah. So I think it's an honor to be in that position of care and to have someone trust you in that. So I think if things are going well and you're feeling like you have some mutual respect and trust, it can feel really good to care for somebody. And for
Mm.
me, acts of service is one of my primary love languages. So it comes naturally to me to say, I love you by cleaning your sink or going to the grocery store for you or helping you get dressed. That is a way that I can show love to you. So some of us are wired that way too. I would say probably one of the biggest joys when things are going well is modeling to my kids that sense of
Mm.
responsibility of caring for people
Mm.
who have cared for us. I mean, we really try
Mm.
to talk and articulate to our kids the benefits they have in their life because of who their grandparents are and the things that their grandparents have provided for them. We're fortunate in that we have grandparents who are generous, but who are involved and want relationships with their grandkids. But it is starting to paint a picture as our kids get older and can see
Mhm.
that line, that lineage of not just love and care and genetics, like I look like you, but of the life decisions that your grandparents made impacted my life and your dad's life, and therefore are impacting your life this way.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a passing of the mantle a little bit. And we're standing in the middle holding it up. But at some point, we are going to be the oldest generation in the family and we will be passing it down. But I think right now we're holding it up for everyone to see. That's
It's
really
beautiful.
beautiful. I mean, it's an opportunity that I think if we embrace it in the moments of peace and calm, in the middle of all the caretaking, that is an opportunity for joy and to show our kids that life has this kind of full circleness to it.
Hmm. Yeah, I know we're in the Olympics right now, but it reminds me of like you're holding up the Olympic timeless torch,
Mhm.
of like this is the symbol of what people have carried from, and that's what I love about the Olympic torch. It's the fire of all the Olympics before it. It's like, no, this is like the torch that's been carried, and you're doing that same thing. You're holding up that torch of like, look
Mhm.
what these people have carried and have passed on to you.
Yeah, and I would say for the person who's listening who's like, "Oh, no. No, we are changing
Mhm.
some things in our family line. Like, we are not
Mhm.
passing that torch."
You blow it up, you
Yeah.
just blow on it.
It is an opportunity as well to show that agency and to show you can make changes and you can
Mhm.
break cycles and you can offer grace to the
Mhm.
people that were ahead of you. If you're able to do that, to that, all of that, all of how we handle our parents is modeling something to our children. And so I think the question is, what is it that we're modeling? Because it may not be what we want to be modeling. Your parents are a joy.
Mm.
I love your parents so much.
I
I
do
love my
too.
parents too, and I love your parents.
I know, and they feel that from you, and it's amazing. I feel one of the joys, I mean, they bring me joy. They just
Mhm,
do. My parents bring me joy. But I would also say when I honor them and care for them well, I feel joy because I'm in alignment with who I
mhm.
want to be and the values that I hold. So that does bring me joy to feel like I'm in alignment with that. And one of the things I know I brought up the word honor earlier, but I love Exodus 20:12, and it says, "Honor your father and mother so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you."
Mm,
And it's this commandment woven into a covenant life that if we are following God, we are called to honor so that we can live in the abundance of the land that God has given us, meaning like our lives, our territory, so to speak. And I love in Hebrew, I'm not going to say this right, but in Hebrew, the word honor is kabed, or however they pronounce the vowels, like kabed, which literally means to give weight to.
Mm-hmm.
So to honor someone is to treat their life as weighty, like
Mm-hmm.
significant and valuable. And so when we look at this in terms of caring for aging parents, one way to look at it is we're giving weight to them. We're giving like offering their life is weighty. It's of great value. And they have carried us for many years. And we're also, that honor is giving weight to that they have done that for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like really like seeing that as the treasure that it is, and then returning that. So I love that. Like, I love that
Mm-hmm.
idea of we're giving weight to their life and we're honoring this great sacrifice they made for us. And we're seeing the true value in that. And now we're giving it back to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
really great. Okay, well, as we end today, Alex, what would you say, just what does that mean biblically for us to
Mm-hmm.
care and honor well for our parents?
Yeah. I was looking at Ephesians chapter 6, verses 1 through 3, and I thought it was interesting. I'll read those now. The verse that follows. So first I'll read verses 1 through 3. It says, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, so that it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on the earth." So that's what you just read. Ephesians is kind of giving the nod to that. And so it's saying this is a commandment and it's a promise that you will be blessed if you are blessing them in that way. But I think it's funny, given that we're talking about being in this in between place between our parents and our adult kids, that the verse that comes after that in Ephesians says, "Fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in training and instruction of the Lord." So, also, as parents, we don't want to be that thorn in our kids' side. We don't want to be bothersome to them when we're older, but right now, too. Like, we are in some ways planting the seeds of what our relationship will look like in 20, 30, 40, if we're fortunate, years, for them to be caring for us. And it is a place of joy to have so many people to care for, right? Both on both sides.
Yeah.
So I just felt like those two verses together kind of summed up this idea of we're standing in the middle, and be kind to your children and honor your parents.
I love it. There you
Mm-hmm.
go. There's our mantras.
Mm-hmm.
I would add to those as we look at, maybe we pull back and look at both the parenting young adults and caring for aging parents. So here's some other mantras.
Mm-hmm.
Stay relational, not controlling.
Mm-hmm.
Stay relational, not controlling. Honor without self-abandoning.
Mm-hmm.
So we can do both. And we talked about both between the two interviews, that we need to care for ourselves well, and we want to honor people and love people well. So there's both.
Mm-hmm.
And let God carry what you cannot.
Mm-hmm.
That this is hard. At times, you're not alone. God is with you. God is with me. And He ultimately, we are not the Savior. We have a Savior. And let's let God be the Savior. And let's let Him carry what we can't. Let's do everything we can. And then let Him carry what we can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any last words, Alex?
Just that this is a hard thing. Caring for parents as they age is a hard thing. And for me, it was a surprising thing. I expected my kids to grow up and leave and do their thing. I just didn't really think through what these years would look like as far as caring for aging parents. And so I want listeners, if you are in a hard place right now, to give yourself grace and recognize that you are human, that you're holding a lot. And if you have a posture of honor and of caring, you will do what is humanly possible for you to do. And that is enough.
Beautiful. Thank you for being with us. We're so glad that we're in this together and we can learn from each other. So we want to hear from you. What are some things that you are doing right now to navigate this season well? Let us know.